right, and welcome to Fastbreak Breakfast NBA Podcast. My name is Keith Parrish, and I'm joined once again by my buddy through the miracle of computer phone. I'm here with John Burr. John, how's it going?
It's going one win better.
One win better for our Grizzlies.
Yes.
They're 1-6. They're the worst team record-wise in the NBA. John, those of our listeners who are seeing this on YouTube or are joining us live on playback, maybe they can see that you're wearing a Nashville Predators jersey.
Only marginally better.
Good use of margin or roll. Yeah, so the Predators, are they bad? Because here's the thing. I watched Nashville Soccer Club.
Don't do that. Unwatchable.
End their season on Tuesday night. I don't think they scored in their final four matches of the year.
That's what I heard.
They had this unbelievable mid-season cup run, which is something Adam Silver hopes the NBA can replicate with the in-season tournament. And, Nashville made it to the final. They played Lionel Messi. It was arguably the biggest professional sporting event in Tennessee history. And then they decide, well, we already debated on the show once before. We don't have to do it. But I'm saying, but then
maybe Nashville history. I don't know.
So we were saying this was more expensive than any Grizzlies ticket ever. It was, I know if you can want to tie in college sports, maybe like a Tennessee Vols national championship, but the tickets to those were like $300. I don't know.
I do think that the fact that the game essentially is meaningless might hurt it.
Also, worldwide audience. Never had a worldwide audience like that for Messi, but it doesn't matter. Nashville Soccer, after that moment, forgot how to score goals. I
don't understand.
The Tennessee Titans, famously horrible at offense, and your Predators are bad. I don't watch hockey. And now our Grizzlies, worst record in the NBA. Also, offensively, one of the worst teams by offensive rating in the NBA. What has happened to the potency of Tennessee sports?
This can keep going because I believe Vanderbilt lost to a team I've never heard, Presbyterian, last night in college.
Is that basketball?
Yes.
Is that Jerry Stackhouse building? He
maybe the worst loss in school history.
So Jerry Stackhouse, who, of course, we've named the International Stackhouse of Pancakes for. He is the head basketball coach of the Vanderbilt Commodores, and once on social media. This is when they were bad too, because they had they had a winless season in the SEC, and they wrote something on social media that was like building a winning tradition brick by brick, which was hilarious because obviously a brick is just a missed shot in basketball. And in honor of the International Stackhouse of Pancakes, having like a Jerry Stackhouse image that says like building it brick by brick, perfection. I believe they actually went back.
I don't think you want to touch an old Butch Jones slogan either.
Is that I don't? I barely know who Butch Jones is.
It was you got another Tennessee legendary failure.
Anyways, this is a national, worldwide NBA podcast as we focus on the microcosm of Tennessee sports. Tennessee in the southeastern region of the United States of America. Although bad news on playback, apparently our German listeners and our Australian listeners got now kicked out when there's an actual game on. Luckily, we're recording this with no game in the background. But anyways, John, we got a lot to talk about, and we should probably get to it. What breakfast have you had on this Wednesday morning?
I had an unfathomably early breakfast. I had country ham, eggs over easy. Shout out Country Ham. Shout out original Vancouver Grizzly Bryant Reeves. I had hash browns scattered, smothered, and covered, and I had toast.
So one thing I've always been confused about your life, John. That was an amazing breakfast you just described.
Waffle House.
You seem to, and maybe you've covered this before, you seem to eat out a lot of breakfasts.
Yes.
And a lot of the times you're like, man, I'm very, very busy today.
Yes.
And then you're like, but also I ate a Waffle House.
I eat breakfast at 7 a.m. most days.
Okay. And out. You're always out, right? Mostly?
Yes, always out. So I get up pretty early and walk. I take a 30-minute walk, and then I go home and I shower, and then I get breakfast, and then I come home and I wake my child up and I take her to school. And that's pretty much my daily routine now.
What are you drugging your child with that she's still asleep at this point when you get her back?
My child stays up very late.
There you go. Here we are. Child not on a normal.
My child has seen like every Grizzlies overtime ending since she's been born.
She's seen when UPN switches over to test patterns. Do they still do that?
But my child and my girlfriend like to sleep in later than I do, so I like to. So I typically go and have breakfast with often power listener Eric Wilson, power listener in spirit Chris Crofton. I have a regular breakfast rotation.
That's great.
Essentially live the life of like a 68-year-old man at age 41. But it's I like it. I mean, I don't often go to Waffle House, but I usually go to a place called Jay's Family Restaurant or Nadine's, which are two great places. And usually if we're podcasting, I usually make an effort to go to McGaw's to keep the bit going. I never had mastered the Chuck thing where I could pretend to have done the things.
Oh,
whether it be watching games or whatever. I felt like I had to do them or else I couldn't speak truth to power.
My breakfast was, I had a thing I never had before. It was a, Golden Grams. I briefly blanked on the cereal. It was a Golden Grams candy bar, essentially. It was called Golden Grams S'mores cereal bar. And I don't know if it was supposed to be just a straight up dessert candy bar or it said cereal bar. So maybe it's supposed to be a breakfast, but it was a candy bar made of Golden Grams that also had chocolate chips because it was a s'mores, also had like a layer on the bottom of like a cookie type. Maybe that's the graham cracker. I don't know, but Golden Grams are in fact on their own supposed to be graham cracker themed, I guess. It was not that great. I mean, I love a Golden Graham, but it was too much. They were given to me. I want to say I think my mom was like, I have these, you should give them to your kids. And I'm like, Halloween just happened. We're not going to finish the Halloween bags by next Halloween. So I don't know there's a time I'm going to give it to them, but thankfully I have a breakfast themed basketball podcast. So I had the Golden Graham S'mores candy cereal bar.
Did you know that I blame any candy in our household on you and say that I'm saving it to give to you?
Yeah, no, I know that. You said that before.
Okay.
I'm very happy about that influence I've had in your domestic life. But anyways, those were our breakfasts. After our breakfasts, we move to our breakfast in bed apologies. This is our chance to make right anything we may have gotten wrong on a previous episode. It's frequently the first time we talk about the NBA, which the show is supposed to be about. John, is there anything that you got wrong that you would like to apologize for?
Besides the Grizzlies start, I will apologize for something that I can't stop doing. And let me preface this with, I know that Bismack Biyombo is I know he's Congolese.
Yep.
I know that he donated an entire year's worth of salary to build a hospital in the Congo. However, it's very fun to say his name in a Jamaican accent.
Oh, yeah.
And it's even more fun to say, Bismack Biyombo, no shooting them trees. And I can't stop watching Grizzlies games with this accent. And it may mean that I spend most of the season watching alone. But if I have to watch all my Grizzlies games alone doing the Snow Informer voice, that's something I'm willing to do.
I think while your maybe politically incorrect enjoyment of his name would be something best maybe kept to yourself.
Certainly.
I like that you chose the avenue of the podcast to release it. Also, I think you can adjust it. You could just yell, his name is fun to say.
Yeah.
You could just like a Biyombo. Like you could do that, and that's nothing. That is not, you're not doing a voice. You're not doing a Star Wars prequel racial stereotype of like a trade federation.
I'm basically I'm a Gungan.
Yeah, you're
In fact,
kind
I'm
of
not
that.
saying it. That's what I'll do to get around it. I'm not saying it.
You're doing a George Lucas thing.
I'm doing it's not Jamaican. It's a Gungan.
Yeah, you could maybe do that. No, Biyombo's been
I'm
great.
Brian Blessed.
based on one game. By the way, which former Suns center would you rather have? Let's rank the Suns and Trailblazers centers from last year on which ones you would rather have on your team. The players we're choosing between DeAndre Ayton, Yusuf Nurkic, Drew Eubanks, and Bismack Biyombo. John, rank your preference for those 4 players to be on your team that you want to win a basketball game this season.
So I'm going to start at the bottom.
Okay.
Yusuf Nurkic.
Wait, you're going 4-1.
4-1.
Okay, Yusuf Nurkic, least desired.
Third, DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, okay.
Second, sadly, Bismack Biyombo no shooting them trees.
Biyombo!
And then I think Drew Eubanks is awesome.
So
I think he's going to be the starter.
So like Eubanks is better than Nurkic, I think.
Yes.
Straightforwardly.
Yes.
But like it was delightful to see Bismack Biyombo thoroughly outplay DeAndre Ayton in this last Grizzlies Trailblazers game. And Ayton has the best, I don't know, like you would think because of the offensive skill and that jump shot and his athleticism, you would think somebody could make that work.
No.
And the Suns were like, we have to get rid of this guy.
Zach Daniels says in the chat, although he does have a Steven Adams avatar, Ayton is bad at basketball.
And so, but also the Suns had Bismack Biyombo last year. Why didn't they want to just bring him back?
So there's, being a sports fan, there's always moments that like kind of show the alchemy or the dark arts of the business aspect of it. Like I can never figure out why Bismack Biyombo's sitting at home or John Wall doesn't have a job. Like these guys are better than players that exist. So there's just things like draft equity and relationships. And I mean, there's no reason Bismack Biyombo didn't have a job unless was he promised a job? Was he sitting waiting for the exception to happen? Like, was there more to this? I don't know. But I mean, I feel like we have established our appreciation for Bismack Biyombo before he came to the Grizzlies. Like everywhere he's been plugged in. And I think it's not that dissimilar from the Steven Adams situation, frankly. And I don't think he's worlds apart from skill level of even Steve-O. Like there's guys who can be played in these roles who just, when they're not needed, don't have a spot. It's almost like how fighters used to be in the NHL. Like there's only 32 spots for these guys.
Yeah.
And I think in the NBA, there's just certain teams that need a big man like this and certain teams that don't. And if the role is filled, if Steven Adams and Drew Eubanks have these roles, there's nowhere for Bismack to go. And we know that money plays into it also, because Bismack Biyombo very famously made a lot of money on the Magic.
Yeah.
Like a lot. So maybe
he was part of that.
Was priced out.
He was part of that. Well, he was part of that 2016 free agent bonanza back with the Timothy Mozgov summer. But yeah, I mean, maybe Bismack again prioritizes just life outside of basketball. And he's like, I'm wealthy. I'm good. I'm not just going to play for a situation where maybe he's like, I'm not backing up a guy like Ayton again. Like, screw that. I'm not sitting on the bench being like, hey, I can do this. So maybe he was just, waiting for the opportunity, waiting for the proper life moment where he's like, all right, I'll come and play for this team.
He builds hospitals in the Congo.
Great guy.
This is a different type
we also are reacting off a single game sample size where like he was the savior for the Grizzlies. Like had 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks. It might have been his best game he's going to play on the Grizzlies all year.
No. He was in foul trouble.
He was in foul trouble the whole time.
Get ready. This is just the beginning of my Gungan accent. I'm planting a flag. Bismack Biyombo will be like at least 3/4 Steven Adams this year. Everything is fixed. We're fine now. We start Bismack Biyombo and Luke Kennard, and everything's fine.
Hysterical.
Just the relief I feel knowing that he's not going to shoot a 3-pointer. Because I mean, just when Tillman's in there, you're like, oh man, he's shooting that 3.
I'm 100% behind Tillman. Keep launching, buddy. I believe in you. Here's my apology. Last week on the episode, when we were talking about the James Harden trade, I blanked on the name of the decision maker for the Clippers. I ended up Googling it while we were doing it. I came up with a name of like someone I never heard of before. And I'm like, I don't think that's it. The name I was trying to think of was Lawrence Frank. And all I was thinking in my head was short Nets coach. Short Nets coach. And I couldn't come up with it. So yeah.
Is that the same guy?
It's the same. Yeah. The same. Wow. What do you mean?
Just failing upwards.
Lawrence Frank. He's been good basically everywhere. How's he failed?
Well, he doesn't have a coaching job.
No, but he's got a better front office jobs. If you get the cash, I think far superior than
clearly, if Brad Stevens is like, you know what, I'm going to move into the front office. There must be a move.
Yeah, you don't have to go on the road trips and things if you don't want to. No, I was blanking thinking about the Sixers Clippers deal and like who are the main protagonists hammering out the deals. Daryl Morey versus, and it was Lawrence Frank. Of course, the question we went over was it actually the owners? Were they the ones getting this thing pushed through? So apologies, Lawrence Frank, for briefly forgetting you exist. Anyways, those were our apologies. Before we get to our steak and eggs best thing, just a word from Underdog Fantasy. John, on Tuesday night, November 7th, there were no NBA games and there was a deep void in my heart.
God, what did you even do?
Basically, because I wasn't allowed to play Underdog Fantasy. I went bowling, actually. I went bowling with an old friend. Okay. But, John, Underdog Fantasy, as you know, it's a really unique and fun way to play daily fantasy sports. And the thing I love about it is you can play against your friends. And that's what we've been doing with our Patreon supporters. We do these little private fantasy drafts. We play for very, very small stakes. And the thing I love, again, whoever wins, it's somebody I know. It's not the house. It's somebody I know. So if you want to get involved with that, also they have all kinds of, you can do a giant, daily fantasy tournament, and try to win $1 million. They have that, of course, too. They also do higher or lower picks, and you can do all kinds of things with the NFL. So they have a lot of different avenues where you can play fantasy sports for money. Of course, I invite you to play in our private drafts with me and John. So if you want to try them out, it's a great time to do so because right now they are matching. They will match your opening deposit up to $500 if you use promo code FBBF or sign up by clicking the link in this episode's description. So if you want to try out Underdog Fantasy, use that promo code FBBF and come play with me and John.
Furthermore, if you join our Patreon, you will have an avenue, a launch pad to play as many Underdog Fantasy drafts a day as you want, because I don't think there's ever been an attempt to fire one that has not gotten fired.
I will say feedback for Underdog. It should be easier to invite. I should be able to run the draft back and invite all the same people. Like, I don't want to cut Slack out because our Slack is great, but like we have to go to the Slack and be like, hey, who wants to play? Underdog, fix it. Anyways, sign up for Underdog, promo code FBBF. All right, John, steak and eggs, best thing. What's the best thing you saw in the last 6 days?
We probably should end the podcast with this because I don't think it's going to get any better for me. Did you see the wouldn't believe it in a movie if you saw it, mirror image, exact same rendering of Draymond Green getting kicked in the nuts the way he kicked Steven Adams in the nuts? Yeah,
it was beautiful.
Just one of those
delightful,
fearful symmetry things. That it's like you hear about it, you receive a million texts about it, you go and you find it, and it's like the same exact thing that happened to Steven Adams. The purposeful kicking of the nards happens to Draymond Green, and furthermore, it looked like it hurt Draymond a lot more, which I guess is fitting. And it was an aesthetically pleasing player in Jarrett Allen doing the kicking of nards. Just a good triumphing over evil. And I believe, and the Warriors lost that game to me, kind of lowly Cavaliers.
The Cavaliers are rounding into shape. They haven't had their players.
I know. And
Darius Garland has not been good yet this year.
Yeah.
And Jared Allen missed games. And
I guess I should point out, like, that even though the Cavs haven't looked that great to me, like, Donovan Mitchell's playing out of his mind.
Leading the NBA in points per game, which is the measure of all good players.
But I still thought the Dubs would win that game. And they got kicked, and it got kicked in the nuts early and kicked in the nuts throughout the game. And it was easily the best thing I saw.
So, John,
and that's in a week where Bismack Biyombo changed my life.
John, this is not very much like me, but I'm gonna my best thing also Warriors. I'm sticking on the big stories. My best thing is the Warriors, and specifically Steph Curry. And Steph Curry might be as good or better than he's ever been.
You say this every year.
Well, but he keeps raising the bar. So, John, all right, he set the NBA record for most games in a row to start a season with 4 or more made threes in each game. But that's a who really cares record. That's a made up record. No one keeps track of that. But right now he's averaging 5.9 made threes per game, which is a career high. It would be a career high. He's shooting 47.5% on 3-pointers. That is a career high. He's making 64% of his 2-pointers. That would be a career high that holds. He's at a career high in offensive box plus minus right now. So he's making this. I don't know how old he is. He's super old. He is so old. He's like going to city town hall meetings to make sure they can't build low income housing. Like, that's how old he is. And he's making 64% of his 2-pointers, 48% of his 3-pointers, 91% from the line. His effective field goal percentage, 68.8%. John,
these are Dylan Brooks numbers.
That is only 1.5 percentage points behind Dylan Brooks' effective field goal percentage.
Sorry.
For the season. You crushed the joke.
I'm sorry.
Gotta let me cook, man.
I'm sorry. I could smell it. I could smell what you were cooking. I went in the kitchen. I said, "Are you making what I think you're making?"
Yeah, I'm making it. Dylan Brooks has a 70.3% effective field goal percentage on the season.
Wow.
Averaging 16 points per game. He is making 59% of his threes, 61% of his twos. This is the best 6-game stretch of Dylan Brooks' career by a mile.
Yeah, I mean, it's truly a nightmare scenario for anyone who's lived my long path with Dylan.
Also,
I think it's fun. I think it's great and fun.
It's so fun. So here's maybe the best thing about Dylan Brooks' amazing start.
I mean, they're playing 500 basketball. That's Dylan Brooks basketball, baby.
Won 3 in a row. He's also averaging a career high in rebounds and steals per game through 6 games.
Motivated.
He's fired up. Also, by the way, John, this could be a par fadeaway way early in the show. Wednesday night, Rockets Lakers, and
bear poking time.
Dylan has already poked the bear.
Bear poking time.
He said he's going to shut him down. This is going to be like he's going to shoot 22% for the next month.
We talked about this. Like, this is what he can bring to you that is a lot of fun on your team. Like, that would be a lot more fun than going 1-6 and speaking Gungan right now.
Those were our best. Those were our best things. The opposite of our steak and eggs best thing is our cream of wheat worst thing. This is sort of related for me to the Rockets winning 3 in a row. I'll do my worst thing, which is the Sacramento Kings without De'Aaron Fox.
Woo!
They lost consecutive games to Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
They got
murdered by Dylan Brooks.
They got annihilated. They lost by 25 and 18. They scored 97 and 89 in back-to-back games. This is the team that had the best offensive rating in NBA history last season. Did you want to add now? Whatever you were.
I mean, they're even like barely cracking 100 against people like the Warriors, you know.
Well, so that was the same thing. So the game before that, the first one, they all right, you score 101 against the Warriors and you lose by 1 in a game without De'Aaron Fox. That's not weird. That's like, all right, the Warriors are good at defense.
But the Warriors are playing games where there's like 140 points.
Yeah. But like, no concerns, no alarm bells went off when you lose 101 to 102 to the Warriors. But now in the 3 games without De'Aaron Fox, you've scored 101, 89, and 97. I mean, is De'Aaron Fox, first of all, is De'Aaron Fox much better than we considered?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I think there's been, I think he's certainly integral to their identity as well.
I have him number 1 on my MVP leaderboard now, based on the 3 games he did not play. John, okay. in the two losses against the Rockets, actually, let's do, this is a game of scones. Wait, let's sing it. Here we go. Dinklage, Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage. All right, game of scones. We can't really do game of scones anymore because
we're anyone in the chat. Is there anyone in the chat?
No. But here's the thing. I don't trust the chat because they might Google things. We're just gonna do. I'm gonna see, John, if you can guess within 1.5 points leeway either way. So I'll give you like a 3-point window, a spectrum. This is the Price is Right. You're going to slide with the price of the car, the price of the toaster, whatever. John, over the last 2 games for the Kings, how many points per game has their leading scorer averaged? So like for the Grizzlies, their last 2 games, Desmond Bane has averaged 31.5 points per game. He's the leading scorer on the team. So can you guess within plus or minus 1.5 points per game, how many points per game has the Sacramento Kings leading scorer in the last 2 games averaged?
I got to guess 19 and a half.
I'm sorry. You have lost the game of scones. You are not close.
So like 14 and a half?
A guess of 14 and a half. Not close.
Oh my God.
The leading scorer for the Sacramento Kings the last 2 games. And I believe I've closed my window, so I'll edit this out for the real show. The leading scorer for the Sacramento Kings the last 2 games. First of all, we could try to see how many guesses it takes you to get there. Is Malik Monk averaging 11.5 points per game? I don't know how an NBA team plays consecutive games and your leading scorer averages 11.5 points. They only have 2 players over the past 2 games averaging in double figures. Malik Monk is 1 at 11.5. Number 2 averages 11 points per game. John, I'll give you 6 guesses. 6 guesses. Who is second on the Kings in scoring over the last 2 games?
So that means
averaging 11 points per game.
Wow, 6 guesses. Is it Duarte?
Oh, he's averaging 7.5. No, it's not. So you already know it's not Sabonis. You know,
I know. I'm trying not to guess the people I know it's not. It's not Davion Mitchell.
Davion Mitchell is averaging in 54 minutes of minutes played over the past 2 games. Davion Mitchell has scored 12 total points, so he's averaging 6 points per game. If you have him in the iShop Negative Fantasy League, you are crushing it right now. Yeah. It is not Davion Mitchell. You got 4 guesses left?
Terrence Davis?
Is he still on the Kings? I honestly don't know. He has not played, so no.
Is it, who else is on the Kings that I wouldn't expect to be doing things? Like Rashawn Holmes is gone and not playing somewhere else.
Yeah, that's right. Salary dump to the Mavericks.
I guess Huerter?
Huerter is averaging 8.5. You have 2 guesses left. You can, if you need to tap out, that's fine.
Who else is scoring for the Kings?
I couldn't have gotten this.
It can't be Barnes or Sabonis.
I didn't. I only watched like the 4th quarters of both of these games because I was just following Dylan Brooks stats.
The chat has chimed in. Someone else guessed Terrence Davis. Sasha Vazenkov?
No.
Right,
I don't.
Who is it?
It is JaVale McGee.
Oh,
JaVale McGee is averaging 11 points per game. Sabonis last 2 games, 9.5. Keegan Murray averaging 9.5. Harrison Barnes averaging 8. So my worst thing, John, is the Sacramento Kings. Absolute tire fire without De'Aaron Fox. And of course,
that's only the second weirdest scoring stat though that I've thought of this season. But have you looked at those 2 Pacers games where they scored like 150 points, yet no one scored more than like 21 points on their team?
Yeah, I saw that. They had 80 in the first half against the Spurs.
Yeah, something like that.
And then I looked at the box score and it was like Benny Matherin had 2 points. And I was like, who's
like everyone had 12 points.
Yeah.
Insane.
It's like Aaron Nesmith had 7.
Yeah,
Jalen Smith had 8.
Yeah.
Toppin has 8.
Jalen Smith is not missing from 3, y'all.
Man, I thought he was the guy the Grizzlies could get for free, and he's better than all our players. John, what's your worst thing of the week?
Well, so like I'm just desperately scouring for worse situations than the Grizzlies at all time.
You did Grizzlies were worse last time,
and I think that my worst is that I can't find anything because like right when I think I've got it figured out, the Bulls win a game. You know,
the Bulls looked like tough last game.
Dude, the Bulls won a game by like, didn't they beat the Jazz by like 30 points or something, or at least like hung 1,000,000 points on them?
Can you wrap that into your Grizzlies worst, where it's like, oh man, the Jazz like cleaned our clocks. Oh my God, they're getting murdered by the Bulls.
And so I basically have had to, and this is pathetic, but I've had to settle on the Wizards as my worst of the week because it's the only thing in the galaxy even close enough. So
I thought you were going to pick the Tyus Jones monkey's paw of I want to be a starting point guard. And then the monkey's paw says, fine, here's Jordan Poole.
Right. And then I was just going to kind of point out that I don't know if you've seen the Jordan Poole, Denny Avduya, grumpy old men level Lemon Mathau comedic duo interactions yet, but this is a story to follow for the entire year. It's not the worst thing, but it's notable nonetheless.
Speaking of grumpier old men, they just never tried to make grumpiest old men.
I think someone died.
We got grumpy. We got grumpier. I thought grumpiest old men. I thought the premise could be like Keith and John try to do a live podcast using multiple streaming apps. Yeah. That's been or maybe Old Dogs 3. Have we done an Old Dogs 3 yet? Was that the Tim Allen movie?
What about Wild Hogs?
Is that what I'm trying? Is Old Dogs the same as Wild Hogs?
I think Old Dogs and Wild Hogs are like spiritual sequels.
Are the same cinematic universe?
Now, yes.
Who
is a sexier old lady? Anne Margaret and Grumpy Old Men, or Rebecca Lobo right now?
I don't think that's politically correct either, John.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was a compliment. Bismack Biyombo, shooting damn trees.
Tyus Jones still leading the NBA in worst raw plus minus, and that's with smacking the Grizzlies around. Hey, Tyus
Jones assist to turnover ratio. Just bring up that.
Tyus Jones has made 0 free throws this year.
Swish.
He's played like 160 minutes.
He also has 0.2 free throw attempts.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's played 6 games, 160 something minutes. He's attempted 1 free throw. Honestly, is this a situation where he's like, man, I'm not getting fouled for this?
He's not fouling anyone. He's averaging a foul attempt.
He never fouls.
Yeah, I know.
He never fouls. He doesn't foul or commit turnovers. Anyways, those were our worst things. Let's before we get to our awards segment of the program, let's do a couple of listener submitted questions. This is Le Croissant Questionnaire.
Drew asks, and we'll just keep it going. Being that you guys are currently living a life of sports squalor, squatting in an asbestos-ridden, dilapidated, abandoned house of a franchise, overpopulated with pests such as mice and rats and Jake LaRavias and David Roddy's, which of these Grizzlies of yesteryear were the most inexcusable departures? Which is the 23-24 Grizzlies roster currently missing the most? He gives us 4 options. DeAnthony Melton, Kyle Anderson, the aforementioned Tyus Jones, and the aforementioned, kudos to him, Dylan Brooks.
Mm.
I have a ranking.
Yeah, go ahead.
And we'll go from 4 to 1 again.
Although I will say he specified which one was the more inexplicable loss. That's one question.
Yeah.
And then which one are you missing the most right now? Those are very separate things to me.
Okay, so
they can be the same for you, but okay.
Most inexplicable is probably Kyle Anderson, I would think, because of what was returned, perhaps. Because you could make an argument that, like, with Tyus, they got like Marcus Smart, a defensive player of the year, so that's explicable. With Melton, we got a first round pick, which we spent on David Roddy, but we didn't know it was going to be David Roddy, so that's at least explicable.
No, you're wrong. No. That's incorrect because it was traded on draft night. They specifically traded DeAnthony Melton for the draft rights to David Roddy. Okay, it wasn't like a future first round pick.
Then I think it's Melton.
No. For me, it's always been the most inexplicable loss is DeAnthony Melton. That trade was an F- at the time, and in retrospect, it was an F-. The whole whoever did the joke first, like, with the 25th pick, you could get anything, even DeAnthony Melton.
Yeah,
like the whole do you want the boat or what's in the box? So the box could be anything, even a boat.
What's in the box?
The Family Guy joke. So no, that trade was inexplicable. Where it's like, he's cheap, and this is the thing that drives me batty, John. Mm-hmm. Everyone pushing back and being like, well, they couldn't pay to keep the squad together. That's false.
No, that's false. Yeah,
demonstrably false. They could still have the top 12 players from the 2021-2022 season, including Dylan Brooks, making $22 million this year. They could still have Tyus Jones, and they wouldn't be a luxury tax team.
Yeah.
Desmond Bane is still cheap. The extension doesn't kick in until next year. They could have kept Anderson and Melton, who, by the way, still very, very cheap. And they could have overpaid Dylan Brooks. Like, I understand why Kyle Anderson left, because they were like, all right, he's going into free agency. They're like, they wanted a different archetype of player. They wanted a shooter for the playoffs. They also were like, we want to play Santi Aldama. We want to give Santi Aldama minutes. So, like, I understand the reasoning,
Wrong.
But, like, I don't like it. The Melton trade, always inexplicable. The Tyus Jones thing, you spelled it out. Yeah, it was a trade away. Dylan Brooks, whatever. He sabotaged the team last year. And, yes, he's shooting 20 percentage points better this year than he did last year. Dylan was sub 40% from the field last year. John, which one are they missing the most right now, though, for the second part of the question?
Well, it kind of depends on if you want to take the team as it's with all its injury woes, and you're just trying to get Ja coming back.
That's literally where we are right now. Yeah.
And you look at their numbers, you would say Dylan Brooks.
It'd be a good argument. I think right now I'm missing most Kyle Anderson because of the front court woes. Like, you could have been playing Kyle and Jaren together. That's a proven 4-5. That worked years ago.
And what you're saying, what you just said earlier, kind of belies how I don't think the Grizzlies front office understands what they're doing. I think the answer is still Kyle Anderson because of the vast flexibility he provided you as far as the lineups you could put on the floor.
Yeah.
I really think that in many ways, Kyle Anderson was like a skeleton key. Is that a correct?
No, 100%.
Where
he's the utility tool that does everything.
He unlocked so many different facets of our offense. I think, to me, like, I would like to, and obviously Tyus Jones was a big part of that run we had without Ja, where we didn't lose any games that was so often mentioned, but that kind of went away after a while, and Tyus was kind of revealed to be like a kind of a playoff shrinker, and just a guy. I really like him, but he doesn't hurt you. But I think the Melton and Kyle Anderson stuff, I just think that haunts us for the rest of our sports lives. Like, I think that's just two players that we'll always wonder why and what could have been, and what is this team with those two guys? Because, Anthony Melton is a key and important player on one of the best teams in basketball right now.
Did he start and or play like 25 to 30 minutes per game on a team that last year was better than the Grizzlies and got further than the Grizzlies in the playoffs? Yes, he did. Yes. Is he currently a starter on a team that's better than the Grizzlies? Yes, he is.
Right.
And then going back to Kyle Anderson, and this
there used to be to the point where it was uncomfortable.
This goes back to
go ahead.
Just maybe the thing I understand the least as a podcaster, not being in an NBA front office, is, and this is not the Grizzlies specific, this is for every team. There seems to be a hesitancy to every front office. This goes back to what you were saying about Bismack Biyombo, about just getting competent players. Why don't teams just want good players? If you're talking about how I'm missing Kyle Anderson, you're like, oh, hey, is Kyle Anderson, is he playing 25 minutes per game on the team with the best defensive rating in the NBA? Is that surprising to you? No, because he's good.
Right.
And why don't teams want good players? Why don't everyone could have had Kyle Anderson's not making a lot of money.
I would say you louder than most anyone espoused the virtues of DeAnthony Melton while he was on the Grizzlies. But even you, when I would say to you, I wish we played Melton over Dillon Brooks, even you would not agree with that. I think it has now been proven that Melton is more valuable beyond either of our wildest considerations.
Basically, the thing was, look at Melton right now. Hey, who's leading the league in deflections per game? Oh, hey, it's Melton again. Who would have thunk it? He's still doing all the same stuff he did. And people are whatever criticisms of playoff performances, it's always when the shots go in, that's icing on the cake.
Yeah.
He helps you when he shoots 30% from the field. Yeah. And it's so I don't understand how, the Timberwolves right now had a big win over the Celtics. They're the only team to beat the Nuggets, the Nuggets and the Celtics. And their defense is great. And they're using Kyle Anderson, who basically was free. Everyone's hey, do you want a really good player? He can fill in as your 4, as your 3. He's proven that he can play in the playoffs. He can fit alongside anybody. He costs $8 million per season, which is nothing. And every team's no, I'd rather keep this garbage player. Yeah, and Kevon Looney,
averaging 5 assists a game right now.
Kevon Looney, for 3 years, the Warriors kept re-signing him for nothing. Yeah. And where's every NBA team? Hey, do you want a highly competent center, great defender, one of the top maybe 5'10" rebounders in the NBA? His cost $7 million per year, which is nothing. You're no. I'd rather draft somebody who's terrible, and hope you win the lottery. Mike Conley. All right, we had a long running joke about Mike Conley, who sucks, but Mike Conley is a competent, good player. The Lakers last year were hey, we're going to package some stuff and we're going to send a first round pick out, and we're sending it to the Jazz. And the Jazz are oh, so you want Mike Conley? No. We want D'Angelo Russell. The Timberwolves flipped D'Angelo Russell, who sucks, but he's a baller or whatever. He makes tough shots. They sent away D'Angelo Russell. They got back Mike Conley and Nickeil Alexander-Walker and 2 second-round picks. I don't understand why teams just don't want good players. Bojan Bogdanović, he's hurt right now. But he was
in the Lakers'
dumped.
defense, D'Angelo Russell did ice us.
No, D'Angelo Russell. He's D'Angelo Russell. I'd rather have Mike Conley, and I don't understand teams being hey, you have if you have good play, in my mind, the whole goal of building a team is to find the guys that make $8 to $15 million who complement everyone. Obviously, you're looking for a superstar. You can't do anything about a superstar.
We had that in spades.
We had it in spades. And it's
now we're in trouble because John Conchar's doubtful tonight.
If you find a superstar, then guess what? Your team is now great. You have a great team because you have all the supporting pieces. If you don't have a superstar, guess what? You have a competent team with locker room leaders who set good examples. And I don't know if building winning culture brick by brick is an actual thing, but having Mike Conley in your organization, not going to hurt you ever. And so I'm at a loss. So thank you for the question, Drew.
Does this question kind of reveal something to you about what the Grizzlies front office values and yet cannot achieve, and that they are obsessed with 3-point shooting?
I don't know. Let's move on to something else. Let's go ahead and hit Where are we on time? Let's do one more quick listener submitted question, John. Read the other question, please.
Joffrey asks, well, he has a bit of a spiel beforehand, but the term draft steal is used every year. What's the highest picked player that could be considered a steal, and what would that player have to do compared to players drafted above or below him? For instance, people may say Halliburton at 12 is a steal, or Franz Wagner at 8, so clearly a high pick can still be categorized as a steal. Extrapolating, could a number 1 pick ever be a steal? And if so, what would they have to do? I think that very quickly we could say there are no steals at the number 1 pick.
Okay. I feel like Jeffrey was setting us up for is Wemby a steal at number 1? I respect your argument. I can agree with your blanket statement. There are no steals at number 1. However, if you wanted to twist it around and be like, listen, LeBron at 1, that's a steal. I'm like, yeah, okay. That makes sense to me. I basically think a steal, yeah. A steal could be anywhere in the draft.
So I will say this, and I know I've said this out loud. He was a top 5 pick. That's not a steal. I've said that. So I feel like definitely top 3 out. And talking about Jaren even, I'm kind of like, if you're taken in the top 10, I don't really think you're a steal. Like that means you're basically you are an absolute stud.
No, because the hit rate on top 10 picks is not even that good. So I feel like if you, I don't know. I mean, we're arguing semantics over how people use words that aren't even defined as a draft steal. For me, I'll say I accept Franz Wagner as a steal at 8. I'll accept once you leave 10, obviously like Shea, whatever Shea was drafted 11 or 12 or something, that's a absolute home Definitely run steal. What if you get a mediocre player?
I'm gonna say top 3. And then I have a caveat that the year Jaren was drafted, that was an absurd top 5.
I mean, if you end up with a Marvin Bagley at 2, don't you wish you got Jaren becomes a steal at 4? Ayton and Bagley were 1, 2.
Right. This is the conversation.
Bismack Biyombo should have gone number 1 in that draft.
That's the conversation I've had with many people that I'm basically alluding to, where they're like, man, Jaren was a steal. And I'm like, he was 4th.
Yeah, he's kind of a steal. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know if the Bagley pick is enough to make him a steal. That's just someone else. I guess that we stole it from them. We stole it from the Kings.
I think great question, Joffrey. I'm calling Wembanyama a steal as the number 1 pick. Anyways, if you want to submit a question to be answered on air as part of the Croissant questionnaire or as part of our bonus monthly Patreon only episode, well, you have to become a Patreon supporter. Do that at patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. If you join us over there, not only do you get access to exclusive bonus content, not only do you help support the creation of this show, you also get access to the Slack channel where we talk about everything around the clock. That's the easiest way to network when we're organizing those underdog drafts. So support the show, get access to bonus content, do all of that at patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. John, before we get to the award segment of the program, I have one question. And here's my croissant question. What am I supposed to do with the fact that Cam Thomas averages 29 points per game? What do we make of Cam Thomas? That's just ignore the points per game. I'm not talking fantasy basketball. What am I supposed to do with the knowledge that Cam Thomas is averaging 29 points per game?
There's more to it even than that. He averages 29 points a game and has the confidence to take it to the likes of Giannis Antetokounmpo in the paint during winning time. Like and you can't even say it's an irrational confidence guy because he's averaging 29 points per game.
They blew that game too.
Yeah. Well, he honestly should have just taken the threes that he'd been hitting all night.
They should have won that game.
Yeah. I mean, frankly, everyone should be beating the Bucks right now.
This is like the Bucks are terrible. No, this is the like Cam Thomas has done this. We saw it last year, but we're always so quick to dismiss. I know I am. You're like, oh, it's the old Marshawn Brooks. It's the old who is that guy for the Raptors? Mike James, who scored 20 points one season on the Raptors, and then all of a sudden, like you're like, all right, we know Cam Thomas is a bucket, but like, are you really going to play him? No, you're not. You're going to play a bunch of other dudes, and now Cam Thomas is like, just get on my back, boys. I'm going for 40, and yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if he's like Is he good? If someone asks me, is Cam Thomas good? It's like, I guess maybe.
I know that he is the all-time leading scorer at Oak Hill Academy, where like every NBA player,
Ron Mercer,
Kevin Durant,
yeah,
Carmelo, and he outscored all those guys.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the whole, he's who we thought Jordan Poole was going to be this year.
Yes.
We thought Jordan Poole was going to do this. Like,
that's absolutely who
30 points per game on the Wizards. All right. Speaking of Cam Thomas, it is now time for the awards segment of the program, the International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award, given each week to the worst performance in a box score. We have a few honorable mentions. Jordan Hawkins, 4 for 19, who's been carrying my negative fantasy team.
But he had 30 points the other night.
Here's how I know I got a keeper. Jordan Hawkins, rookie for the Pelicans, filling in for CJ McCollum, who has a small collapsed lung. That adjective was added by Shams Charania. I don't know.
Does that mean that his lung is just
I don't know if it's only slightly collapsed or if the lung is small.
Does it mean that's the smaller of the two lungs? Or
he has a small collapsed lung.
Landscape of lungs?
Hope you get better, CJ McCollum.
Is he a longer?
Jordan Hawkins filling in had like 31 points and made 5 or 6 threes or something. And he still in our league was only slightly negative. So he's a keeper. Yeah. He was only like a -4 for me that night. So I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna be great.
I got on the wrong side of that and purchased Dyson Daniels shares. Whoopsie.
Anyways, our honorable mentions for the International Stackhouse of Pancakes: Jordan Hawkins, 4 for 19, Jordan Clarkson, 5 for 20, Julius Randle, 5 for 20, Malcolm Brogdon, 6 for 20, Taylor Horton Tucker, 6 for 20. Our 3 nominees, as they occurred chronologically through the last week. Julius Randle. Not only did he go 5 for 20 in a game, he followed that up with a 3 for 15 in a loss to the Cavaliers. Julius Randle, 3 for 15, 6 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 3 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. Then Cam Thomas, despite averaging 29 points per game, he only had 13 points in a win against the Heat. He was 4 for 19 from the field. Also had 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals, 1 block, 4 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. And then his Nets teammate in a loss to the Celtics, Royce O'Neal, was 2 for 15.
What is Royce O'Neal doing taking?
I didn't even know Royce O'Neal could do that. Yeah, I didn't know he could do that. Anyways, Royce O'Neal.
This is coaching.
Royce O'Neal, 2 for 15, 6 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 4 personal fouls. So Julius Randle, 3 for 15, 6 points, 6 rebounds, 3 turnovers. Cam Thomas, 4 for 19, 13 points, 2 rebounds, 3 steals, 4 turnovers. Royce O'Neal, 2 for 15, 6 points, 3 assists.
This is hard.
It's kind of hard, but I say give it to Royce for going 2 for 15.
I'm definitely giving it to Royce because I cannot believe he shot that many times.
It's powerful performance from Royce O'Neal. Congratulations, Royce, on winning this week's International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award with that 2 for 15 shooting display against the Celtics. Anyways, John, it's now time for Kudos to Me, our segment named in honor of Dylan Brooks, who last year got 5 assists in a game and said kudos to me. Sharing the ball. Dylan Brooks has leveled up, but what's something you got right that you would like to pat yourself on the back for?
Bismack Biyombo, no shooting dim trees.
Come on, man. Biyombo! He's so good. He's so good.
I felt like he would have an immediate impact, and I think he's going to. I think he's like 3/4 of Steven Adams.
He's about
good passing. He's better at passing than I thought.
He's about to face off with the Miami Heat on Wednesday night.
Who looked rough.
Yeah. What do you think of the Miami Heat court, along with the Heat culture jerseys? The court.
Are you talking about the quote? Should we read
the
quote?
If you have the quote nearby, please read it. It's basically, they printed on the court that we are the hardest working team. No one is better conditioned. No one is fitter. Do you have it up?
Hardest working, best conditioned, most professional, unselfish, toughest, meanest, nastiest team in the NBA. No.
I can't believe they put that on their court.
They're so lame.
It seems terrible.
They're so lame.
Like, if I were
they're so lucky that they have Jimmy Butler, who kind of cancels out all the cringe that they provide.
That would be like the biggest motivation. That's beyond bulletin board material.
I mean,
yeah, like bulletin board material. They painted it on the court. It says we work harder than you.
Imagine what Joel Embiid's going to do if he ever plays on that court. He's going to be crotch chopping in that lane, thrusting towards the words.
I don't like it.
There may be, expurgations. This could be bad.
Here's my kudos to me. I
mean, there's a way to do this that's cool, by the way. You don't put it in the free throw lane.
I don't even know.
You put like a.
You can't put it anywhere.
You just put like Udonis Haslem. Put a picture of.
I can't believe they went from their city jerseys went from the Vice Night jerseys, all the versions of those that were just glorious, to the serial killer magazine cutout ransom note jerseys, to now just things that just say culture. Yeah. I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way.
Somebody needs to get fired.
Just the AI that they're using, that Nike's using to design all these things.
It's the same guy who's the same AI that like wrote Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
#1 at the box office.
Yeah. My kudos to me, John. I believe in one hard and fast rule about the NBA, and this tenet.
No charges.
I believe in that, but I also believe that whatever team adds Chris Paul, they will win more games than they did the previous year.
Finally had a good statistical night too.
And whatever team gets rid of Chris Paul will win fewer games than they did the previous year. And the Warriors look good, and the Suns look poopy. And kudos to me.
We will get to see a Brad Beal and someone else is coming back tonight.
Oh, are we finally going to see the Suns' big three healthy with Drew Eubanks? Could Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and KD eventually all peak at the same time and go on an extended run of domination? No, they're not going to do that. How's that off season of picking up the ninth men from a bunch of tanking teams going?
Who gets the kudos to you segment when they whoop us in the playoffs though?
Hey, if we make the playoffs, that's my Super Bowl.
Yes.
I'm not saying the Suns aren't going to make the playoffs. I'm not saying they're probably going to finish, top 6. They're probably going to avoid the play-in, but this is not the league's best team. This is not a title favorite. This is the team that's, I think, going to be on the razor's edge of falling into the play-in the literal entire season. Anyways, John, far fade away. What thing are you looking forward to in the coming week?
I think we'll get a real actual notion of if the Mavericks are as good as they've appeared to be this week. I think we'll finally because their schedule has been, with the exception of the Nuggets, hilariously soft. But this coming, by the time we've gone through again, we'll see them against the likes of some. If they still have only one loss, the next time we speak, then we have to talk about the Mavericks. I know you don't want to.
No, we can talk about the Mavericks.
I don't want to. It's pretty much one note. It's just a one note, one player performance every single night. But it'll be time, because I think it's a big story.
Your UT Vol guy, Grant Williams, I think he's shooting 53% on threes, and he said, "I've got to be better."
That is the most Grant Williams thing that could ever happen.
I mean, they're playing the Raptors, then the Clippers, and the Pelicans. Pelicans are kind of falling apart. Again, kudos to me. I said they have a voodoo curse. I think they do. But
they've only played one good team pretty much.
I kind of want to see, speaking of the Raptors, is the Scotty Barnes leap real?
God, he looks amazing.
He's shooting great on threes, and he's scoring just tons and tons of points.
Getting taken in the top 4 in our underdog fantasy.
He's
drafts.
Like a first-round pick every time in underdog. I want to see what happens there. A couple of par fadeaways for me. One, this Friday night, the Grizzlies will be fighting for their play-in or their in-season tournament lives on Friday night. And we
didn't talk about this, but it's working.
I think the in-season tournament is great. I was for it.
Working. The teams are playing hard. I'm devastated we lost to the Blazers.
Basically, if the Grizzlies lose on Friday night, you're done. If you lose twice, you're out. Like, you can't win your group anymore. I mean, technically, I guess mathematically you could, but for all intents and purposes, you're out if you lose two. But most importantly, as the Grizzlies play for their in-season tournament lives, we'll be having a watch party over at Noble's Beer Hall this Friday night. Grizzlies Jazz, 7 p.m. Come to Noble's if you're anywhere near Nashville. Going to be giving away a lot of Grizzlies prizes. Also got a bunch of Dylan Brooks posters that are free from last year. The hottest item on the planet right now, old Dylan Brooks posters. But we have some current stuff. We'll be giving away Steven Adams Hawaiian shirts. We got some John Morant bobbleheads. Those are not banned. Got some Jaren Jackson Jr. Bobbleheads, some Marcus Smart giveaways. Come out to Noble's Beer Hall, 7 p.m. this Friday night if you're anywhere near Nashville. My other part fadeaway, John. We have a very faint heartbeat on the Jacques watch. All right, we had a thrilling first week because Luke Kennard made it over halfway there. He got up to 12 misses to start the season before finally making a 3. So Luke Kennard looks like he's going to be this year's Jacques Watch champ, but I still have hope on a couple of guys. Right now, leading the clubhouse with a paltry 5 field goal attempts is Cody Zeller. Cody Zeller, 0 for 5, fingers crossed. With Zion Williamson being out on Wednesday night, maybe a few more minutes open up for Cody Zeller on the Pelicans. Cody Zeller's leading us 0 for 5, but still, I think our hope is going to be pinned to Pokusevski, still stuck at 4 misses. So we're trying to see who can match Jacques Vaughn's NBA record of starting the season with 22 consecutive misses from the field. Poku still at 0 for 4. I trust through garbage time, he can maybe not make a shot until Christmas. So that is who I'm going to be keeping my eyes on. Anyways, that is the episode for today. If you want to support the show, do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Try out Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code FBBF when you sign up. Anyways, you guys are the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing